That makes it sound like I'm encouraging you guys to do drugs, and that is not the case. Hey, party people. I am super excited to tell you all about my new class on Patreon, Color Theory for Fashion. This video is a bit of a two-parter. First, I'm going to tell you all the details about the class. I am going to put in a little bit on briefly updating you on the status of all of my other Patreon classes. And then I'm going to give you a preview of the first lesson in the Color Theory for Fashion class on my Patreon, just to give you a feel for what is going on over there. Okay, so first, let's quickly run through the who, what, when, where's, and whys of the Patreon class. Number one, who is it for? It's for anyone who wants to learn color theory as it applies to fashion, mainly fashion design, but really it's about how it plays out in the fashion world. Some of it is styling, a touch into accessories and makeup, but really about garment design, designing fashion collections. What if you're a complete newbie to color? Anyone can take this class, even beginners. I do encourage you to watch my color lessons playlist here on YouTube first. It is a very good primer, but the Patreon class goes way well beyond that, deep diving far, far past what I'm able to do on YouTube. Okay. Number two, what is the class? We are deep diving on color, the yellowest yellow that ever yellowed, yellow, 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 yellow. The first 12 to 14 weeks, we're going to be focusing on each color of the color wheel, 12 colors, might require a couple extra videos. The first video is going to be all about yellow and mixing tints, shades, tones, mutes of yellow, talking about different color schemes as they apply to yellow, monochromatic, analogous, complementary, split complementary. And then we're going to do that for yellow, orange. And then we're going to do it for orange. And then we're going to do it for red, orange. I might mix it up in the order, whatever, okay? But essentially, we're really getting into the nitty gritty of every color by learning how to mix these colors in flat opaque gouache, which is the best for color reading. And in mixing these paint colors, you're going to understand the undertones of these colors, how you create neutrals, how color stories come together, how they can be translated into your creative projects. This is an analogous color scheme. Okay? Not everything is super bright orange, super bright yellow. After we do a deep dive on each color, we are going to be talking about more complex color stories like triadic color schemes, tetrad color schemes, double comps, and we're actually going to apply them to a little project that I have devised so that you can really see the impact of the 4 types of desaturation within color stories. If all of that is foreign to you but intriguing, please continue watching. Number 3, when? First class drops December 22nd. Spoiler alert, I've already filmed and edited the first lesson. It's already posted and scheduled, just waiting to be published and enjoyed by people the world over who love to obsess over color as much as I do. Woohoo! Okay, listen, I haven't painted in a while, and so when I had to bust out paints to start teaching this class, I was so excited. I'm so excited to paint again. I'm so excited, y'all. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but I am teeny tiny bit, little bit, a lot excited. Okay. I've already posted the supplies list and a video going over supplies, alternate options for supplies, brand brand recommendations for different supplies. I've already posted that video. It's a freebie on Patreon, so you can go watch that to prepare and start getting your materials together. I've already posted a color lesson extra that it's a case study I had previously done for my Patreon students where I review fashion collections purely studying the color stories using like Tory Burch, Christopher John Rogers, Hermes. Like I did a bunch, okay, of like, you know, when I do these kind of like collection case studies, I like to branch out into different aesthetics, and you know, I will be doing more of these fashion runway color story case studies as the class progresses. But anyway, December 22nd is when it starts. And listen, I have the 7-day free trial thing set up on Patreon. So if you want to schedule yourself accordingly so that you can watch like a couple of the first 2 lessons before you dive in and pay for the class, you can go do that, okay? Number 4, where? It's on my Patreon, patreon.com/Zoe Hong. I'm gonna have the link in the description. I'm gonna have a link probably to the pinned comments, links everywhere. If you can, at any point you are looking for a link of mine, just go to zoehong.com. I have all the links, okay? How do you sign up for the class? Number 1, go to patreon.com/Zoe Hong. Number 2, select the fashion, design, and illustration tier. That is the tier, like Patreon is broke up into tiers, and each tier, each level is a different amount of dollars per month. And every tier gets different things, different classes. And the more you pay, you get like all the things in the tiers below. Okay, the fashion, design, and illustration tier, that's my tier where I will be teaching the color class. If you join the fashion, design, and illustration tier, you will have access to also the monthly Zoom meetups and also the pattern making class, okay? You can watch all the pattern making videos as well because that's the tier just beneath it, right? Next, when you get in there and you're looking for your color classes, there's a bar up at the top and look for the button that says collections. Okay, that's where my classes are all organized. And you'll see tiles there that say fashion design class, color class, pattern class, okay? And just click on the class you're looking for and all the lessons should be there in sequential order under that tab. And yes, I number all of my classes because I am an old school university teacher and I teach in order of the syllabus that I create. Okay, YouTube is different. YouTube is really like kind of all over the place and, it's a lot of like hoping to catch people while driving and zipping along the internet freeway. Whereas Patreon is really focused. I'm like, please watch lesson 1 first and then number 2 because I'm feeding off that knowledge. But a lot of people ask me, what is the main difference between my YouTube classes and my Patreon classes? I teach my Patreon classes as the high level intensity as the university classes that I used to teach at an internationally ranked fashion school. Okay, that's the level of knowledge that you are getting. But the pacing is slower because I assume that the people who sign up for my Patreon, they don't have time to take college classes. They have full-time jobs, they have kids, all these things. So it's a slower pace, but the content is absolutely university level. Okay, so, and it's focused. I have a syllabus. I follow the syllabus. I take lesson requests. And it's a real deep dive, far beyond what I can do on YouTube. Step number 5, join the Discord. Discord is great because there you can post your homework assignments for critique. You can post lesson requests. I do that for all of my classes. And you can make friends with other people in the Discord. Number 6, why? Why study color? I'll tell you why. And this is especially true for fashion, but true really across the board. Color is one of the first and main ways that you make a purchasing decision, okay? Color is what attracts you from across the street to a store window, across the Target at a mannequin that's literally 30 feet away from you, okay? Color really catches your eye, and color is a huge part of somebody's final purchasing decision. Something can fit you really great, and something can just, the cut can be absolutely perfect, and the softness of the fabric makes you feel like you are being wrapped in love and fur and everything. But if it's not the right color, and it's not the right color for your skin tone, and it's not a good color, period, you're not going to buy it. People are not going to buy it. Color is important. Color on its own is a multi-billion-dollar industry across the world, and so studying it is very important for any kind of artist or designer. Because here's the thing. You're like, oh, well, Zoe, you could just take a bunch of fabric swatches and kind of put them together and kind of see what works. Because I've seen you do that on your YouTube videos too. Yeah, I have. That's literally how I pull colors and fabrics together. However, when you have a base knowledge of color theory, you greatly reduce the time spent on where I just randomly testing, okay? Because you already know before you even put 2, 3, 4 together what's going to work, what's not going to work. And if somebody says, we have this color and this color, and we need a third color to go with it, because you have this color theory knowledge, you already know, boom, here are some great options that you already know that is likely to work, okay? It greatly reduces the time spent just guessing. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a little rundown on what's going on in Patreon for me before we get onto the first color lesson preview. Okay, number one, fashion design process. The class is finished. It's still there. You can locate it under the collections tab. You can take it. I still look at homework and give feedback for the fashion design class. Join the fashion design and illustration tier for that class. Pattern class is still going strong. We completed our skirts chapter. We are well into bodices now. And the patterns class is going to go on for years because we have just started bodices and there's still pants and outerwear and jackets and knits. But the pattern class is still going strong. We're having a blast in there. Come join us at the pattern class tier. Okay. The figure drawing class also complete at the fashion design and illustration tier. Yes, you can still take it. Yes, I still look at homework for that class. And then the drawing clothes on bodies class. The last class is going to be posted next week. And, like right after that, I think the first color class and the last drawing clothes on bodies class are dropping the same day. Okay. And you could still take the drawing clothes on bodies class, and I will still look at homework for it, and that is in the fashion design and illustration tier. Now, if you are wondering what class you should be taking for your particular situation and you and your particular fashion design journey, drop me a comment. I will answer, okay? Every class, you don't have to take every class. What am I trying to say here? Not every class is for everybody's individual fashion journey and what they need to learn to get to the goals that they want to achieve. Okay, so drop me a comment. Let me know where you're going, where you want to go, and I will let you know what class I think you need to take. As usual, drop me your questions below. Please share, thumbs up, all the ways you show me love. And without further ado, here is a sneak preview of my first color lesson class on yellow. Hey, party patrons. Welcome to the first official color lesson. I already posted a video before, but it was all about supplies and kind of a primer for the class. I also posted kind of a bonus extra little video that I had done for the fashion design class, doing case studies on color stories from different runway shows. And you should absolutely watch both of those videos before you watch this one. Today, we're going to start with our color deep dive on yellow. And we are going to do all things yellow. We are doing tints and shades of yellow, light tones of yellow, dark tones of yellow, mutes of yellow, analogous color schemes incorporating yellow, split complementary color schemes incorporating yellow, and what near mutes are, doing, making some combos, because a lot of colors are like not straight up mutes or straight up tones, but a little of this and a little of that mixed up together, okay? This format, this PDF, is available in the downloads for this video. And do you need to make yours as pretty as this page? Listen, if you are someone who is interested in becoming far more proficient with watercolors, then I would recommend that you trace this out or measure it out with a ruler and pencil very, very beautifully, and try to keep your paint in the lines to practice control. If you have no desire to learn more watercolor after this and you're really just a deep dive on the color, I just drew them out. I traced it, but I didn't use a ruler. Because I don't need to practice staying inside the lines. I don't care. I'm more concerned overall, out of everything, I'm more concerned with the accuracy of your paint mixing and your color output than how cute your little boxes are, okay? I do, however, recommend that you use a very light pencil. This is a 2H. I use a light pencil and a light hand so you're not smearing graphite all over the place and kind of polluting, especially some of the lighter shades. All right, so this is available to you. Put this on. This is on the Strathmore 400 brown cover cold press paper that has a very subtle texture on top. All right, yellow. Every color can be defined by VST, value, saturation, and temperature, okay? Temperature is warm or cool, okay? Cool is your coolest color, and orange is your warmest color. Don't listen to that movie title, okay? What is that? Blue is the warmest shade or something, something, okay? That's a metaphor, okay? Blue is the coolest color because it cannot get any cooler. You go this way and it starts getting violety, which is warmer. You go this way and you start getting greener, which is warmer. You cannot get cooler than blue. The opposite and same is true of orange. If you start moving this way, you start getting to yellow, which is cooler. And if you go this way, you start going into red, which is cooler. Orange is the warmest color that you can have, okay? But essentially, these are your warm colors, and these are your cool colors, okay? Saturation is how much of the hue, the base color, is shown in the color. So there are 4 ways to desaturate a color: adding white, adding black, adding gray, adding the complement, okay? And you can see this on your color wheel. So when you have red, violet, you can add white. The more white you add, the more desaturated it becomes, the less saturated it becomes. Same with whatever you want to add. The more you add of a different color, the more desaturated it gets. So temperature, warm temperature, okay, somewhere in here. The more white you add, the lighter and lighter, the more pastel-y it gets, more desaturated, okay? And value is the lightness or the darkness of a color. This is Designing with Color Concepts and Applications, and I recommend this book, but I understand it is out of print and hard to acquire and like $110 or something ridiculous. So if I need to point to a lesson in here, I will show it on camera instead. Okay, I don't want to get too much into the technicals because I have the technical stuff already in my YouTube series on color theory. I'm really like deep diving past the basics and going into like the nitty gritty of each color. But basically, high value are the lighter colors and low value are the darker colors. Okay, don't read into that. I think the language is problematic, but that is what it is called. So, sorry. Okay, so every single one of these main colors at its highest saturation point, like when I say highest saturation point, if you add red to this, you'll continue to get the same color, okay? If you add red to pink, you'll get a darker pink, okay? So when you get to this point, the highest saturation point where if you add red to red, you're only gonna get red. At that highest saturation point, all these colors are different values, different lightness or darkness. The most purely saturated violet is just darker than yellow, period, okay? And we need to keep this in mind as we move forward with the tints and shades. So today we're focusing on yellow. Have you ever seen a grayscale? Or if you look at gray markers, you have like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Prismacolor does the 10%, 20%, 30% gray. Okay, this is what they're doing here. It's like, this is 20%, okay, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 80, 75, 70, 65, 55, back to about 40, you know, like, we'll get more precise as we go, But you see, we need to know this because when we do our first row, which is tints and shades, we kind of have to figure out where to put the purest yellow and where to put the lighter yellows and then the darker yellows. So first, let's start with the square, which is going to be the color to be studied. We've got yellow, and you know, I already talked about what this color is in the supplies video, so I'm gonna take out a lot because we're gonna need a lot. I do have 2 jars of water, but when you're trying to do straight up gouache paint chips to study color, you want to use as little water as possible. Like, you'll wet your brush and squeeze out most of the water and try to get your gouache looking super duper opaque so they look like the paint chips that I made before, super duper opaque. The yellowest yellow that ever yellowed, yellow, 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 yellow. I don't know, it's like 20, 25%. Because like 50 is like in here. Okay, so what I want to do is put yellow here. And we're going to go lighter first. So use the white. I don't want you to get in that. When you're watercoloring, you can use as much of water as you need to get the color that you're looking for. But for color studies, I want you to get in the habit of using white so you're mixing the opaque colors. I have this color, and I'm going to put it in here. You have the option to make separate paint chips or try to create a gradient. It's up to you. I'm going to pull a little bit more yellow so that I'm getting this in-between color. Kind of looks like a gradient now, doesn't it? And then I'm going to pull more yellow in here, or more white, sorry. It should look like, the last color here should look like it's fading into the white of the paper. So I do need more white. I'm going to put a tiny drop more water, and because it's a little dry looking. And here's that. You see how it kind of fades into the white? And the yellow is here. And we're creating that gradient so you can see what yellow looks like with just white added. And then I want to get all the paint out because I don't want it to be a tone yet. I want it to be yellow and black. Okay, so tints are color plus white. Shades are color plus black. Your black is at 100%. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3. So this is 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is black. And you want to get from here to here in like micro doses of black along the way. That makes it sound like I'm encouraging you guys to do drugs, and that is not the case, okay? I would never. Now listen, this is a very paint mixing 101, is when you're mixing a really light color and a really dark color, like black, blue, violet, you're not gonna have 50% black and 50% yellow and have it be this color in here, okay? Because the dark color is so potent, it's gonna really overwhelm the yellow. With as much yellow as I put in there, I'm still reading so much closer to black. Honestly, you guys, this is not about perfect swatches. It's about understanding color and understanding the colors that happen when you mix two specific colors together, which is why you need to keep your brushes clean, your towels and your water clean, and just observe, okay? We're getting this, people will be like, this is starting to look green. Yeah, that's what happens, okay? Because of the undertones of the black. Black is a coolish color, and so when you're adding like a cool dark color, that's what happens. That's why when I forget what video it was. I was talking about undertones and what grays you should use with different colors. I had said in that video, when you have yellow or green colors and you want to shade it with a gray, use a French gray, which has a lot more yellowy, greeny undertones. Oh no, I'm getting too watery. I don't like that. I feel like there's a bit of a gap in there. I promise you, you are going to struggle a little bit with how dry the gouache is. I'm like kind of getting back in the hang of it, but it's something that happens, and that's okay. And you just have to get used to it. Most of you are probably either not used to how dry gouache is or used to any kind of watercolor at all. And it's okay if your first page looks like poop, because what do I always say? If your first one sucks, you're right on track, because you're still ahead of everyone who never even tried. Okay, so there's your tints and shades. And it's important to distinguish tints and shades versus tones, which is what we're going to do now. So we're going to take one of these wells, or two of these wells, and we're going to mix a lighter gray and a darker gray. And normally, because you're going to use it consistently through the whole bar. Now, normally when I do these exercises, I would say, pick a gray that is lighter than your color, and then pick a gray that is darker than your color. But yellow is so all up in here that for colors this light, I would still pick two grays, but like one up here and one down here. This is an expensive brush, okay? If you're going to, you should use the ends of your brushes or something else to mix your paints. But if you're going to use your brushes, use a cheap one, okay? This is my nice sable one. This is for painting, okay? This is not for mixing. Switching to clean water. So we're going to start here, and it's not going to be the lightest color. It's going to be the yellow plus the tone. So just plain yellow plus some gray, more gray, more gray, more gray, more gray, more gray, until the end looks like this, okay? And the beginning looks like this. Usually you want to mix in the darker color into the lighter color in teeny tiny increments. But this one, they're pretty similar to each other. But whoa, sorry, I meant to go over here. That's more gradual. This square is already messed up because I had so much gray underneath it. Do you see this gradient? Okay, and it's distinctly different from the black. The undertones are different. You're getting these really beautiful kind of khaki, French gray colors. And this is how you're going, and you might be thinking, oh, it's really hard to like look at individual colors, Zoe. We're going to make a viewing window. If you've taken my design class, you already know what that is. You're going to take a little scrap of whatever white paper. but make sure it's kind of thick and opaque. This is just the same watercolor paper. And you're gonna cut a little, fold it in half, and you're gonna cut a little window out of it. So that, I think this one is too big, but you can see really individual colors. You're like, wow, you're really seeing that's chartreuse. And you're like, wow, that's how I get chartreuse, yellow plus black. And here's this color, and see how really different it is. Look at this celadon color. It looks like beautiful ancient pottery, okay? Maybe if I added more white, it would look even closer to celadon. And that's when you start processing how you're mixing these colors, where colors come from, okay? So do smaller than this, but make a little viewing window so you can analyze individual colors. A very dark French gray now, which is, I think, really beautiful with those earthy yellow tones. Okay, and you see, you're gonna, hopefully with time, if you don't see it right away, don't even worry about it. Looking at things also requires practice, okay? This is why museums have docents. But you're gonna start seeing how this is more toned down. The vibrancy of the color is toned down even more with the gray, and in a different way than it is with the black, with this lighter gray, okay? Now that we have this whole idea of tints, shades, and tones, now you know what a monochromatic color story looks like with yellow, okay? The difference between monochromatic and analogous color schemes are: monochromatic is yellow and the tints, shades, and tones of yellow. Analogous colors are like neighbors of yellow. So I've already started a color theory lessons Pinterest board for reference so that y'all can check out some examples. Here are monochromatic color schemes. Here's all these different yellows, but it doesn't veer orange like minusculely, okay? We're different fabrics, okay? It doesn't go to orange and it doesn't go to green. It's all tints and it almost looks like just yellow. But do you see how we can get this darker yellow? Probably like it's a tone in here. And this is yellow plus white. It's in here. And this is like in here. It might not register with the screen. That's the thing about teaching a color class online. Ooh, that's it. Okay, the tone of yellow plus a tint of yellow. Monochromatic color scheme, right? This is yellow orange. We'll be going over that next week. But you see how they're all these very light tones and they don't veer more yellow or veer more orange. And that's a monochromatic color scheme. Analogous, where are we? Here we go. This one is going to orange and green. This one is going more orange. This one is including orange and green and yellow orange. This one is orange and yellow and green and yellow. This one is great because listen, this is a very soft peach that is coming from a red orange. And this is a copper that is coming off an orange. And you start seeing these undertones and neutrals like this, and then you see a bright yellow. This is an analogous color scheme. Okay? Not everything is super bright orange, super bright yellow. okay? And we're going to be talking more and more about that as we progress in this class. So now we're here. We're going to be doing analogous color schemes. I want you to make swatches in here where you have, well, you have a lot of options for analogous color stories, because analogous color stories should have like 2, 3, 4 colors in a row. Not much more than that. You don't really want more than one primary color. The primary colors being red, yellow, blue. 2 is okay if they're at the ends, okay? But you don't, like, any more than that, you start getting a rainbow. It's not really a color story anymore after that, right? So I give you 3 options to put down your favorite one. So you could do yellow this way, yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, orange. Or you could do yellow this way towards blue, green. Or you can have yellow in the middle where we are somewhere in here, okay? Whatever you think looks the best. This is where these bad boys come in. If your tubes don't open, don't use your teeth, use pliers. You can get a very inexpensive pair from any tool shop, okay? Don't use your teeth. Ruining teeth is extremely expensive. I guarantee you, any set of regular pliers are going to be less expensive than going to the dentist. I'm going to do one where it's yellow this way. That's looking a little dirty. I beg your pardon. And one where the yellow is on this side. And one where the yellow is over here. And there is no essential position. I'm just moving things around so I can get a variety. I typically read a color wheel where yellow is 12 o'clock and violet is 6 o'clock. That's just a habit of mine. But there's no international law for where things have to be. Just, whatever your teacher tells you, aka me. I have mentioned before that even though this is the best for design work, this is the better for color mixing. So let's say I want to do some yellow green. I am going to just grab the tiniest bit of cyan because it's so overpowering. And I've already gotten green, okay? To get yellow green, I'm going to need more yellow. And I'm going to go in here. That's pretty good. And then up here, we're going to have the green. Not quite green enough, so we're just going to, like the littlest freaking green bit of cyan. Just be conservative. I am like being so careful with how much cyan I add. Okay, I could be I could just do the tiniest extra bit. Okay, I could fuss with this green for a while, but you know what I'm trying to do here. Okay, after green is this blue green, which is not quite cyan. It's a lot of cyan with a little yellow. I also feel like yeah, that's a better green. Now let's start mixing some yellow with some magenta. See, the one missing here though is yellow-orange. See, there's no such thing as the perfect tool. But listen, I saw this other color wheel and I ordered it, and hopefully that's an even better one. But I mean, between these two, it's okay. Not bad. I could use a tiny more. And then we have like full orange. with more cyan. And then red orange, which is a lot of magenta. So you tell me, which of these do you like the best? Okay, but these are, these cards that you're going to make, these pages, they're going to be your reference. I hope that you will keep these cards forever to use them as your color reference forever. In case I haven't mentioned it already, I think I feel like I have, but in case you haven't mentioned it already, the whole point of color theory is to remove or greatly reduce trial and error. Instead of having a bunch of fabric swatches and color swatches and be like, how about this? How about that? And blindly reaching for things, you're supposed to pull back in your brain this knowledge that you have, and maybe you have these chips still, to be like, oh, I already know that these work well together because they're complements, because this is the mute. This is how I get this color. This is how I ask, can the dye house make this a little bit greener? Okay, that's going to make a more beautiful burgundy, whatever, right? It's supposed to reduce and remove the trial and error of it all. All right, this was a lot for one video. And listen, not every color is going to be broken up into 2 videos, but I feel like for this first one, I want you to digest what we've done here. And before we move on to this whole section, okay, and as we learn and as we get better, these lessons are going to move a little bit faster and smoother, but I feel like I have thrown so much stuff at you today. We're going to call it a wrap here. I hope you learned a lot. Please do the homework. There's so much to be learned in actually doing the homework and mixing the colors and doing it yourself, the muscle memory of it, and seeing it with your own eyes as opposed to looking it through a screen, which is very imperfect for color. Okay, so drop me all your questions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.